Welcome home.
Welcome, everybody. Thank y'all for all waiting patiently backstage. Thank you for tuning in to episode 4, season 2 of the Busy Money Cast and Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm dead tired today. Some of y'all seen me in the meeting. I'm on no sleep, no food. So, perfect opportunity. And I usually drink out of a coffee mug, but today I'm going to go live with a half a scoop of that Howard's Blend pre-workout. This is fruit punch. No spoon, no nothing. Look how easily it dissolves. And it mixes up a couple ounces of water. It's all mixed up. I'm going to take a shot of this in a second. So again, go check out Howard's Blend. Get that pre-workout. You should smell this. This is amazing. Get that pre-workout. Get that plant-based protein. We got a lot of new viewers today for sure. So we're going to give away some protein. Y'all want some protein? Some plant-based protein. Doesn't mess up your stomach at all. No effects. Tastes like chocolate. Low calorie. That's amazing stuff. Second up, I want to shout out my man Clarity, who brings us a moment of clarity. Check out his brand. Shout him out. You know what I'm saying? He's a good brother. See the work that he's doing with his movement. Next up, I know y'all been waiting. I've been getting emails every day. The paperback version of the book Fear, the second edition, is coming out any day. Shout out to Patience. Shout out to Reagan Edits. They're on it. We're just waiting for the ISBN to clear. It's little nonsense. That book should be ready for y'all in a few days. Proceeds from the book Fear go to the Mary Kemp Foundation. And I also want to shout out Atalo. So all my Atalo students, first of many. This is an important college sweater that I'm wearing based on today's conversation. And you see on the wrist, it says Boundless. So this is an important conversation. And Atalo's a great group. It's a college prep program out in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Mary Kemp Foundation donated, I want to say 50 or 75. I don't want to be a liar, but it was either 50 or 75 books for that SAT prep program. So yeah, we are about making sure kids go to college. But tonight, we're going to see which one makes the most sense. That being said, let's bring up that poll, Nova, while I knock this out. So if you look on our Instagram poll, one is from our post. Thank you everybody for sharing and weighing in with a vote. And the other one is from our story. If you add up the numbers 11 and 4 and 7 and 8, it actually breaks down to 15 and 15. So we are torn. 50% of the viewers and our followers feel like college is the way to go. 50% of our viewers and our followers feel like work is the way to go. So how does this end? I'm not sure. But we'll find out. So let's start. We're going to bring up just random stat. But I got a bunch of stats for you guys. Okay, so now we're going to start off with college. And as always, we got all the articles. Everywhere where we pull this information from, you could go fact check, verify, double, triple check. So what we have here is just some stats. So this is just a breakdown of the age group of borrowers. And this is important because as you could see, the largest age group are 25 to 34, and now younger children, or younger adults rather, 24 or younger, are catching up. What's interesting is that last age group, the 62 and older, that number wasn't that high 10 years ago. Actually, within the last 10 years, baby boomers are the fastest growing group of people who have student loan debt. And you say, well, why are these 55, 60, 65-year-olds acquiring so much debt? It's because they were taking out loans for their children and grandchildren because the parents couldn't afford the student loan debt. And the children certainly couldn't afford the student loan debt. So now we got grandmas, grandpas, great grandmas, great grandpas footing the bill to try to give their younger family members a shot at a decent future. Let's see what we got next, Nova. All right, here goes some stats on student loan debt averages. Just some things that kind of pop out at you. Some interesting stats. 30 years ago, public education was $4 grand a year. Now it's 10. So that's like community college, this, that, and the third. And private was 19K, and now it's 38K a year. And that's adjusted for inflation. But you can see that the number basically doubled, and for community college, almost tripled. Very, very important stuff to pay attention to because we have to look at how income increased and what inflation has done. And we could see if the increase in student loan tuition has kept up or has exceeded income. All right, let's go to the next slide. And I have another stat for you. So another one is, let's take a look at this. Let's talk about when you go to school and what happens when you're in school. When I went to college, and I have 3 diplomas. I have undergrad, master's, and a post-secondary certification for when I went to school for leadership to become a principal, superintendent, so on and so forth. I changed my major 3 times in undergrad. That's something that people do when they go to college. And then we'll take a couple polls before we go, but we'll hold off on that. But I just want you to see, it's a stat. This is known. 80%, 4 out of 5 students in college are gonna change their major at least 3 times. Not once, at least 3 times. Which is significant, and it's telling. And then we'll take some input from the crowd. And why do you think that these 18, 19, 17, 20-year-olds are changing their minds 3 times in their first 4 years of college? Feel free to drop your questions as I'm going through my notes in the presentation. All right, Nova, let's go to the next one. And also, for y'all that don't know, shout out to Nova. She's the producer of the show. Without Nova, the show doesn't happen. It doesn't go off without a hitch. I couldn't do both of these things at once, so shout out to Nova. Now we're going to talk about retention and dropout rates. So 40% dropout rate is pretty bad, right? 40%, you figure 4 out of 10 or 2 out of every 5. But the staggering rate is the line right underneath that, where it says that only 41% of students graduate within 4 years. So yeah, maybe some people drop out, but 60% of students don't graduate college. With all that $1.75 trillion in student loan debt, less than half of the people graduate. That's an issue. Let's keep going. And another stat, 50% graduate in debt. With all the scholarships you hear about and all the tuition assistance and all of those things, more than half rather, graduate in debt. They leave school in the hole. Yeah, that's right. A lot of kids are going to school because their parents says so, and that's something we're going to talk about. And then let's see what else we got. Yeah, from Clarity. Yeah, they don't know. They don't know what they want to do yet. That's 100%. So we're going to talk about this, and that's why we have this discussion. That's why we did this versus. So if you look at the monthly student loan repayment by year, there's a high peak around 2008, 2009. Now, if you know anything about 2007, 2008, 2009, the economy was booming. Then the housing crisis happened. Look at the steep drop in student loan repayments when the economy collapsed. And now look at when it's starting to peak again, right around COVID, pre-COVID. And you can see it starting to go back down because we're back in a recession. If people don't have money, people are not paying student loan debt. And student loan debt is one of those things that you cannot get rid of, even in a bankruptcy. The government wants their money. Let's keep going. All right, now let's take a look at what a 50K loan looks like. If you break it down over a 5-year payment, 10 years, all the way up to 20. Most people take 10 years and they're right in the middle around 9%. So you're talking $633. That's a Mercedes that you're paying off over 10 years for $50,000. So that basically means you went to undergrad. You can't even get a job. Watch this. Anybody, please feel free to answer. Outside of trade school, what job, what profession can you get with a 4-year degree? I'm going to say that one more time. Outside of trade school, so don't tell me nursing, that's a trade. Don't tell me being a mechanic, HVAC. Outside of those fields, what job can you do that makes money that you need a 4-year degree for that you can get without a master's degree? I'll let you answer that over there. So basically, you got $600 a month in bills. You're talking $7,200, $7,500 a year in student loan debt to go get a job, and the average American makes $40,000 a year. We'll keep on going. Let's see what you got next, Nova. Okay, so now we're going to look at these stats. And this is how much it costs to get each degree. So as you can see, the numbers increase, right? Because the higher the degree, more you got to pay for that. We're going to keep going. I'm putting these stats up here, so if you want to watch this back, you can press pause, press the link, and go back. We don't have to read off the stats. That's not what we're doing here. So I'm going to give you two things, and then we're going to start moving forward, and hopefully we'll try to jump into a conversation. So the average monthly payment for student loan is $267. That's a Nissan. That's for a bachelor's. $196 for an associate's, right? A 2-year degree. That's like your little startup car, like a little Kia. And then $567, right? That's your higher end car, your Mercedes, your BMW. That's a $567 a month payment on average. Over 40 million Americans have student loans, right? A tenth of the population have student loans. And 92% of those loans are government loans. What you guys to think about that? 92% of $1.75 trillion, the government makes 8% off of. So now we'll talk about that. Let's see what we got next. So now, if you look at this stat, these are the top 25 earning fields in America. They all end in an ist. Cardiologist, podiatrist, right? Doctors. Out of the top 25, I want to say I think 22 of them are in the medical field. So a surgeon or a medical specialist. Those are the people making the most money in terms of highest paying salaries. So not teachers who need 6 years of school, not psychiatrists or psychologists who need 6 to 8 years of school, not them. Not the people who are going to school for hotel management or for what have you. Not for accounting. None of those people. None of those people graduating with $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 in debt make the top 25 salaries in America. Something to think about and something to talk about. And hopefully you guys win so we can have a discussion. As you know, I don't like to lecture. I'd rather have a conversation, but we got to set the stage. All right. So those are all the stats. Those are all the stats. Basically, Americans are in debt. There aren't many jobs. And the highest paying jobs require the most student loans, except for those who go to trade schools. Plumbers make way more money than teachers. Electricians make way more money than teachers, and cops. But these jobs are specialty jobs. And there was something called a vocational school back in the days where you can go to school for unskilled labor, or rather for a specialized labor, and you could provide for your family, right? And then for some reason, which we can get into, I could speculate and you could weigh in on, is that somehow, some way, the government figured out a way to make a tremendous amount of money through loans and put us in a situation where we feel the need to succeed is through college. So I'm going to ask this question and then we'll go to commercial. We'll come back and then we'll have the rest of our discussion. How many college graduates do I have on this chat? Who went to college? And if you want to say you went to college, if you want to say if you graduated or you got 2 degrees or whatever, put that in the notes. We're going to cut to a commercial from Howard's Blend real quick. We'll come back, we'll take the answers, and then we'll get into a discussion. All right, all right, all right. Let's see. We got a couple questions. We got some questions. We got some answers. Went, didn't finish. Brookfield Estate went. Howard, let's see. 15 years, but you got your, but you finished. But you finished. I'm gonna tell you a little story. And then Nova, if you want to put up the link for anybody, I see it now. Okay, so you got, if you want to join live, all you got to do is click that link and you come backstage. All right, let's see. Shelly, thank you for tuning in. Right, so we got some teachers on here. Y'all know I was a teacher. So now here it goes. I went to school. I got my undergrad. I worked for the city of New York. The city of New York basically paid for my whole degree. Why did I know that? Because my mother was an educator and she knew the game. So I just want to drop a couple gems, a couple sound bites, so later on people can hear this. Parents, if you've never gone to college and you feel like college is the way because you want your children to have a better life, I want you to consider something. I want you to listen to this and I want you to pay attention. Forcing your child to go to college or beating in your child to go to college just because you think that that's the best thing for them may not be the best thing for them. And I'm going to tell you why. Because students who go to college for the sake of going to college don't understand college lifestyle. In fact, 3 of the top 5 reasons why students drop out of college are finance. They can't afford to pay for school, even with loans. The workload is too hard or it's not what they expected because they, I guess, expected a continuation of high school. And the third is frustration with the process, not the schoolwork, the process. So what happens is a lot of times people feel that school's the answer, not knowing that a BA or an associate's is not going to get you into a higher paying profession. It just doesn't. And if you do the math on it, if you subtract the monthly payments, which is why I put that up there, if you subtract the monthly payments from the differential between non-graduate and graduate school, outside of the top tier, you actually take home more money if you didn't have a student loan to pay. So now for all my students, because I know I got a lot of high schoolers and college people on here, which is why, again, shout out to Atalo. I make sure I wore this. I'm not saying don't go to college. It's not what I'm saying. I wouldn't tell y'all that. I don't have all the answers. What I'm saying is, if you're going to go to college, know what you're going to school for. I took 3 years off school. It was the best decision I made in my life. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew it was going to be education. I'm still in education. I'm not in real estate. I'm in education. I make way more money teaching about education than I do by just investing my own money, believe it or not. So if you're going to go to college, think about what you're going to school for. If you have to take a year off, take a year off. Don't go $30,000 in the hole just to say you went to school. Okay? I'll give you one more thing, and then I see we got a guest backstage. So we're going to talk about this experience. So now, like I said, I was a teacher. So I want to talk about this young man. And he doesn't know this, but I'm going to tell him as part of his introduction. This young man is part of the reason I'm no longer a public school teacher. I'll tell you why when we bring him up. But my first full year as a teacher, I was the 5th teacher in 1 year in New York City Public Schools. I took over a class with 30 students, 97% L, second language learners. This young man was in my kindergarten class. This young man was also in my third grade class, my last year in the classroom. You see him down there highlighted in the front row. Now he's getting ready to go to college. We reconnected and we stay. He's also part of my check-in system. I want everybody to welcome my man Hong to the live.
Is my mic working?
100%. What's going on, man? How you doing?
All right, I'm doing great. All right. So if I were to introduce myself, all right. I'm Hong. I'm currently 18. I'm a senior at Stuyvesant High School, and I live in Brooklyn, New York. I didn't know. Wait, I didn't know that I was I was a part of the reason why you quit public teaching.
Yeah, see, I
That
would
was
not see now you're legal, so now I can tell you all the secrets behind the scenes. And you see Miss Shelley's on there. So there's some people that know you from being young, and now they get to see you grown up. So let me tell that story. We'll get into your question and we'll talk about what you got going on. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe you'll remember this. I don't know if you remember this. Maybe you still got some of those report cards. So Hong was in my class, and he was one of those students that always got fours. Always he excelled. He's in Stuyvesant. For those of y'all that don't know Stuyvesant, Hong, how did you get into Stuyvesant?
To get in, yeah, it's a merit-based exam called the SHSAT that you take in 8th grade, and a lot of the topics on there are high school topics. So it's really hard to pass or to get a good score on the test without getting any like test prep, which the public school system doesn't really prep you at all, or from my experience. And I had to get outside help for that test prep. But anyways, yeah, it's a test you have to take, and I believe Stuyvesant High School has always been and still is like the hardest one to get into. For every seat, I believe there's 90 students competing for that. But yeah.
So Hong is in basically the Ivy League public school in New York. I remember, and just to put it in perspective, there's 3 schools you can get into. In Stuyvesant is Bronx Science, and then the school in Brooklyn.
There's Brooklyn Tech as well. Yeah.
Brooklyn Tech. I took that test, and I was gifted and talented my whole school career. I only tested into Brooklyn Tech. I couldn't even get into Bronx Science if I wanted to. So Hong is like top tier student. Always got fours. I'm going to tell you where one of the reasons I started saying I don't want to be a teacher anymore. Maybe you remember this. So we had to do these monthly assessments. Hong wrote this amazing. You remember this?
My mom made fun of me for it. I remember. Yeah, it was about the essay.
Yeah. He wrote this amazing essay. It was like perfect, no grammar, nothing. I actually wanted to read it, and this is a trick that a lot of teachers don't know. A lot of students don't know. I'm exposing stuff. We have to read 30, 50 papers a day. We don't read those things. I don't. We skim. Okay, there's a thesis, there's 2 points, and we check it off, and we don't even read them. I actually read that story, and I was like, man, this story is amazing. Hong, what happened?
I got all ones. And then I remember when you went over it, you're like, all right, guys, this student got all ones, but I'm going to explain to you why. No one laughed. And I giggled a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I was a cheeky little 3rd grader, but I laughed a bit. And it turns out it was my paper. But yeah, I think my biggest issue with that essay was the fact that I was never told it was an essay. And to give a bit of background, they've been holding after school programs for students like me, especially like second English language learners. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but English is my second language, believe it or not. Like when I met Mr. H, I couldn't speak a word of English, but yeah. Well, we had like these after school programs, and they taught us how to write essays. They teach you how to write introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion, all that. So I already knew how to write an essay, but the issue was during the test, it did not say write an essay. It said anything except for writing an essay. And I didn't expect that because I was always taught that to write an essay, they have to ask you to write an essay. So I was prepared. But on this test, I wasn't prepared because the format was just so odd. It was like, write about this, write about that. So I was like, all right, I'll write about this, I'll write about that. But it was not in an essay format. So I completely failed that test.
He would have put a space and made it 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs. It would have been 4s. There were supporting arguments. I mean, this is like a beautiful, like even like a 6th grader doesn't write like this. He wrote like that in 3rd grade. And I had to give him 1s, and I couldn't give him points because I was locked into a rubric. which kind of brings me over into test prep. Now, I just wanted to share that. I don't want to go on and on, but I want you to know that it's not a negative thing; it's a positive thing. But it just goes to show like the hypocrisy and some of the bureaucracy and some of the things that like I hated about being a teacher. And I know a lot of teachers on here. And if you don't want to lose your job, you don't want to say nothing crazy, but you can say what it is. We spend so much time focusing on test prep as opposed to teaching and actually making sure students are enjoying learning and maximizing their skill sets. We whittle it all down to a test, and then kids are judged based on the test score. So that's me on my little soapbox. I'm gonna shut up now. But you're 18. You're
Yeah.
in the top tier program. You're going to college. Any questions? Anything you want to know? Anything you want to add? Anything you want to share in this debate?
So I've already applied to a lot of college, or not a lot. Like I think it was around 10 or 11, and I've gone to my safety. So I am definitely going to college. But my take on this like whole debate is like it's a bit mixed, right? Because I'm definitely agreeing with you. Like if your parents are the reason why you're going to college, chances are you're not going to succeed in college, and it's not for you because you got to be the one that's really wanting to learn about this topic, whatever major you're in. And money wise, right? It's not financially smart to just put to go into debt for something that you don't even want to do at the end of the day, right? And a lot of these jobs, again, like as you said before, unless you're going to be like a doctor, a lawyer, like a scientist, there's really no point in going to college for that money because you might as well go to trade school, which costs a lot less and probably you'd find it more fun because there's less like paperwork and stuff. But you start off with a higher salary, and in a few years you won't be worrying about any debt. But yeah, like unless you're really interested in a topic or you want to become a doctor or like a lawyer or scientist, then you should go to college. But like for so many people, it's just you ask them why they went to college because my parents told me to, or like my parents said I have to. It's like a myth, really, like that you have to go to college. I was told this myth too. I'm still being told this myth, but I want to go to college, so that's fine. But I always grew up with my parents telling me because they're immigrants, right? They've never been to college, so but they look around themselves and they see that all these wealthy people, they went to college, so I must send my kids to college too. And my older brother, who's 5 years older than me, also had like the similar pressure, but he didn't end up going to college, and he's fine now. But yeah, that's just my whole take on it.
Let me ask you a couple questions just to kind of put this in perspective. Do you remember at what age you started with test prep? And I don't mean school, I mean outside of schools, test prep after schools.
After schools, I started in first grade. My mom put me in this after school, but it wasn't really test prep. It was more of like my parents were both working. They wanted me they don't want me to stay home all day, so they sent me to this after school. I just did homework there. Sometimes they taught me like a little bit if I had difficulties on homework, but test prep wise, I didn't get any like. I had a few after schools in the school itself, right? They had a few after school programs for like the state tests, but yeah, that's about it, honestly. And that began in like around fourth grade, I believe, because we started the state test in third and fourth grade, right? Yeah.
Right. Okay. What are you going to school for?
Right now, I'm looking to major in political science and government because I'm looking to study law. And what else would you study law other than learning about the government and political science? So
Okay. So do you know how much a degree is going to cost? I know it depends on what school
yeah,
goes to.
it definitely depends on the school. Yeah, it actually depends a lot on the school. It ranges anywhere from like one of my safeties, which I got a lot of aid for. I think it would cost around like 10,000 for the whole 4 years. That's like the minimum, but the maximum I don't really know yet because I'm still waiting on some of the decisions which are coming out
Right.
later this week or the week after. But yeah, I think the most expensive would probably go up in like the 100,000s.
Yeah, 40,000 a year. So
Yeah,
$160,000 when you're done. And then to become a lawyer, you have
I have another 3 years of law school, which is even more expensive.
Right. So you're going to be kind of in the whole, and I'm not trying to tell you not to go to school because you know what you're doing, you know what you want to do. Listen, when I was in high school, I didn't apply to college. Like it was a known thing I wasn't going to go to school, right? So that, I mean, you read the book Fear.
I read the book, yeah. And then,
Yeah.
your mom really wanted you to go to college too.
Right. So I understood. So you're right on the right track. I know you're gonna be an amazing lawyer. Maybe you know what I'm saying we could do like some sort of discount or something. You know, we work something out. Some real estate trade. We'll work it out. But I mean, I really appreciate you being here and for weighing in. And it's different for me being a 40-year-old speaking about what I think I know, and for you being an 18-year-old who's living through this and dealing with SAT prep and college applications and grants and all of those things. And if you need anything, reach out to the Mary Kemp Foundation. We'll make sure we take care of you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Got it.
definitely looking forward to seeing you reach your full potential. And oh, you know what I might do?
Hmm?
That with your approval, of course. I still got
Yeah.
that happy video.
That happy. I was looking for it one time. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, I locked it up when I left the DOE. I didn't know what I was allowed to keep up and not, but I'll
Yeah,
send you the link to the happy video.
got it. Thank you.
Before we let you go, I got two things for you. If you want, you can shout out any social media, YouTube, anything like that. And then I want you, if you have one, I want you to share a story. But I'm gonna share something. One more thing about you as a third grader, and then if you have something, you can share it. If not, then that's fine. So I remember we took like some sort of inventory, and it was, what do you want to be when you grow up? In third grade, do you remember what you said you wanted to be
I
when you grew
don't
up?
remember. I might have said something like scientist,
YouTuber.
YouTuber. I said.
Yep. You said you wanted to be a YouTuber, and then when we put out that happy video and this, that, and the third, you was like, "I'm gonna subscribe. You subscribe to my channel, and then we're gonna do it." And I think if you go back, you'll actually see. I think you commented on that old YouTube page on the Math Man H page. So you know what I'm saying. Maybe you'll set up a YouTube channel with the law practice, and you give away some gems, and you help a million followers. So you have anything you want to share? Anything you remember from third grade? Was it the
From
best
third
class
grade.
ever? Anything?
It really was the best class ever. I'm not gonna lie, but I also on there was a similar like parallel story from fourth grade as well. I remember I don't remember if you do, but or I don't know if you remember, but in fourth grade you also you left the classroom, right? But you also helped teach math, right? And I think they had this like test that helped determine whether or not you get into this class that you taught. And it was about long division, but something about division I just never really understood. The way I had it in my head was that I would work backwards, right? I'd say what number multiplied by this will give you that, right? And that's how I solved the test. And I got everything right, but they didn't like that I didn't use the way they taught it. So they didn't let me into your class. I remember it took like 2 or 3 weeks later, and then they finally put me in. But and for those 2 or 3 weeks, I was just sitting there. I was like, why are the students leaving for math class? And I'm here like, learning boring stuff. But
Right.
yeah,
Well, thank you for sharing that. And what's cool is because you said boring stuff.
yeah.
And I remember I never used the book. We always did
We had
investigation.
like poker cards laying around and everything.
Yeah, we had fun. Everything we did was games. So a little background to your story. So just so you don't feel so bad, I definitely wasn't the person who scored those tests. And I want to say that if you got in, it was probably because I looked at the different way to
Yeah, I
see
think
how
I
this.
think it was because of you.
A lot of times I have so many stories of children that I worked with early on who did it a novel, who created their own algorithm or solved the problem the novel way. And because the teachers didn't have the experience to understand the steps that the student did, they marked it wrong because it didn't match their rubric.
Yeah,
Again, one of the reasons I felt like I had to leave education, because it was disgusting. The students weren't getting hundreds and whatnot. And I actually had that experience in college, so don't feel bad. I had a professor take 33 points off of a math exam because he wanted a certain algorithm. I did it my own way. All the logic was sound, but it just wasn't what he asked for. So he gave me 1 point over failure for one wrong problem. So, you keep on pushing. Any shout outs? You want to say anything to anybody, anything?
I don't really have any like platforms out there that I use, but no, I'll shout out two people on here. I'll shout you out, Mr. H, because do people still call you Mr. H? I feel
Yeah,
like
now they call me H. You can still call me Mr. H though. That's
yeah.
cool. More
All
people
right.
need to call me Mr. H.
I don't know if you know this, but I've been tutoring a lot as well during my high school career, and I think you inspired me a lot too because I always try to have fun with these tutoring sessions. And again, with test prep, like I feel like like how I got into my high school, I wouldn't have done it without any third party like test prep, right? And a lot of big issues with these specialized high schools is the diversity. The higher you go up in these high schools like Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, Staten Island Tech, you'll find out the majority of students are either white or Asian. There's very little Black or Latinx or Latino students. And I came from 971, right? Like, sure, we have a lot of Asians, but we also have a lot of Latino students, Black students, and like I found that issue kind of disturbing as well. So I found this I didn't find it, but I was looking through social media one time. I found this tutoring program called AIM Project, and they help teach like Black and Latino students on SHSAT prep. And I spent like I think a total of 60 hours into it, and I helped teach these students on SHSAT prep. So yeah, I totally understand their frustration with the public school system. They don't really. Sometimes it just feels like they're not preparing for what's really important in a student's like life. But anyways, also I like to shout Mr. Albert. I still remember. I still remember. He also helped prep me for after school. I remember one time. I forgot what grade. It was either fifth or fourth grade. But yeah, I'll also see he's so muscular. Like he inspires me. He really does. Like I go to the gym. I'm trying to look like him one day. Really.
Yeah,
But yeah.
we gotta make sure that y'all connect. He's on the live. He's actually on the live. We're gonna make sure that we make sure that y'all get together. We get you some gains in the gym. Hong and I check in every day. He's in the gym. I'm checking in. He's one of those people that get one of those checks. Here, his comments coming up right now.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Albert.
so he's there. And yeah, man, we got a lot to do. If you need some more students, let me know. I get emails all the time. I'll send you a gang of students. I know you'll do a good job with them. Right there in Brooklyn, right in Sunset. So we'll build that up. And thank you again for joining, man. And we'll talk after
Thank you for
and
having
stay
me.
connected. I'm looking forward to you. I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming on. All right. So this is an opportunity. Anybody want to get on and talk about their experience as a college student, private business person? The link is right there. All you got to do is click the link and you could come on live. So while we're getting ready to wrap up, unless somebody else wants to come on, you could also ask questions about real estate, retirement, investing, anything. This is a free platform. You have access to somebody that charges good money to work with people. You have access for free right now. So I shared some stuff about debt and this, that, and the third. And I really wanted to create a conversation. So, like Brookfield Estate said, he didn't go to college. He was a business person, is a business person, and has far surpassed pretty much any that's the educate. How do you get out of tier 6? You don't, man, because you can only go to tier 7. That's which is coming, or if it's not, it's gonna be way worse. I'm a tier 4 guy. You missed it by a couple years. Tier 6 is terrible, but it's only gonna get worse, which is unfortunate. But so when it comes down to whether you should go into the workforce or whether you should go to school, it's gonna come down to a few factors. Do you know what you want to do? Okay, now you figured it out or you're not sure. If you're not sure, take a year off. Go work in Walmart or go work in McDonald's or wherever it is that you're going to go work. Go get yourself some entry level experience. Go intern. Go intern in a place where you might want to work. Maybe you think you want to be a nurse or some sort of medical practitioner. And then you find out that you don't like blood. You find out that you don't like weird smells. Then you just saved yourself big money and a lot of time because you have real life experience. Maybe you want to fix cars, Maybe again, you want to be a plumber, but you don't like dealing with the plumber stuff. Well, then plumbing's not for you. Okay. So number one, figure out what it is that you want to do. And at 18, no one expects you to know what you want to do. I took 3 years off. Worked for a Fortune 500 company and made more money than most adults at 18. Those jobs exist. You just got to be in the market. Now, once you figure that out, figure out if you have to go to an expensive school, stay local, go to a community college, go to an associate's program, get your 2 years cheap, and then figure out what's next. Get your third and fourth year a little bit higher, so you have less debt. You have less debt. Let's see what Shelly's talking about. Exactly. Nobody cares. I've never seen somebody say we're gonna hire this person in most jobs. Now, I'm not talking about Ivy League. I'm not talking about, high end legal. But those guys are even tied into a group, a fraternity, a friend of a family. They're already locked in. They just go into school just to get the paperwork. From my experience, we'll take one more poll from the group. Anybody who's on here, did you get your job on your own merit or did you get a referral? Because I got referrals for all my jobs. Let's see. Howard always dropping gems. Again, look, it went down nice and smooth, nice and clear. It mixes well. I didn't even have to do much for shake it. Thank you, Jazz. Let's see. Oh, you want to tell that story? I'll expose him. No. We had that one. He ain't on here tonight, but Joshua came home ready to fight. He went and did an oil change thing. Maybe I'll share that story on the next one, or I'll have him come and share his own story. But that being said, so again, figure out what you want to do. Once you figure out what you want to do, have a game plan, have a strategy, and figure out the best way to leave school with the least amount of debt. Because based on just what America is, if you want to go to school for 4 years and the average Joe goes and gets a regular job, within 4 years they'd be a manager or middle management. And then when you graduate, the entry level job you're going to get, because you don't have any work experience, the person who went to the entry level job in 4 years is going to maybe make more than you. But let's say y'all make the same. You're going to have that student loan debt. You're going to have that $500 bill that they're not going to have. And most jobs have college tuition assistance. Go get yourself a job if you don't know what you want to do. And if you do, go be the best at it. And then if you want to go Ivy League, kill undergrad and then have somebody pay you to go, especially if you're a minority. It's hard enough to get in these schools. Trust me, they wouldn't give you those spots. People can't wait to give a minority or somebody with a disability, so on and so forth, opportunity to be in their school. So with that being said, as always, unless anybody wants to join, yeah, I'm telling you, I graduated school with no debt, and then I went to school for math. So Obama, shout out to Obama, took care of all my student loan debt. All I needed to do was have it deferred for 10 years, and they cleaned up everything. So what I did was I broke up my payment, and I took it from 10 years to 20 years. I had like a $30 a month payment. I wasn't worried about the interest. I knew they were going to forgive it. I think all in all, maybe even my graduate program, three degrees, I think maybe I spent $20,000 out of pocket, maybe. I knew the system, I knew the game. So if you guys don't know have your youngins or you come talk to us, that's not something I'm gonna charge you for. Let's get these young people in the right position. Let's not have people going to school just because. Let's not having people broke because they have to pay all the student loan debt just to have another funnel for the government to have another revenue stream. Because listen, it is what it is, right? If 92% of student loan debt goes to the government, all that interest is funding whatever the government wants to use that money for, right? So it is what it is. I'm not saying something that's not true. It's a fact. So any other? Ooh, Joshua, you want to join the live real quick? Somebody put you on blast about a story. If you want to join, we got time. If you don't, we'll end the live right now. You came on perfect time, and they were talking crazy about you in the comments. They were talking crazy. They said you was like Cuba Gooding Jr. in Boys in the Hood. When he came home, he was swinging. He was fighting air. Let me know. We'll bring you backstage if you want. We could know, but you could put the link up just in case. Josh, I'm about to tell the story about your first day that you did your internship over at the oil change spot. Let me know. Let me know. If you join, I'll let you tell the story. It's funnier when you tell it because you can see the pain in your eyes. If not, I will have to make another video. All right, Josh is about to join. Wait for the story. This was a good one. I thought he was going to fight, and that's his mom. His mom said she never seen him so upset. I'm not going to say he cried. But he was ready. So while he's coming backstage, I'm gonna build up the situation. So Joshua, we have success stories. I'll put the link in the bio. Joshua's mid-20s, ends up retiring from the military. He worked with us for 3 years. Owns multiple doors, damn near 10 doors in 1 year. Has done several flips. You can see all his success over the year in retirement. He's like, look, man, I don't want to leave the military without having money coming in. You know, I don't know about disability. I don't know what. I said, just come on in. Oh, shout out to Axel, another young soldier. He gonna love this one. Axel's 22, got his first house. Now he's a landlord. He's 22, worked with us. Not even 6 months. He already got 3 tenants. That's how fast we work. And he got his house, no money down. Shout out to the VA home loan benefit. And as soon as Joshua pops up back here, then we'll bring him on. So Joshua said, I don't want to leave the military without having something to do and without some money coming in. So long story short, we had an opportunity to buy this commercial spot. Joshua loves cars. So there was a lube shop, right? Oil changes and whatnot. So we get ready to buy this thing. Now I'm buying this $350,000 cash. I'm willing to lay out $350,000 cash. So Joshua has a setup. And he's getting ready to transition. I'm in contract. We're about to close in 2 weeks. And the process is going. The owner is in his 60s. His wife is about to retire. And Josh is right here. So I'm going to say the last piece before Joshua goes. So he goes, look, come on down. I'm going to show you the ropes. Come on, you're working. I'll teach you everything you need to know, how to run the front of the shop, the back of the shop. Come in and just hang out with me. And then I'll mentor you 2 days a week until I phase out. And then you take over ownership of the shop. Joshua, come on alive. And Joshua can tell you about his first day as an entrepreneur. It's all yours.
Man, I don't even know where to begin. Honestly, hold on. Let me see if this audio is working.
You good? I can hear your audio perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I don't even know where to begin. Honestly, like he was like, "Hey, we're going to do this thing. We're gonna, get to working. We're gonna change oil. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that." I'm like, man, you know what? This is not bad. Not bad at all. No, that was terrible. I mean, I don't even know what I was really getting myself into. It was just hot. Just imagine like a hot day and just doing like I mean, I don't know, like 20 to 30 oil changes nonstop. I mean, they're not bad, but the thing is, like, it's just hot oil. Like, the cars have no time to cool down. Okay, yes, you're supposed to be doing oil changes with, the car engine hot, so everything comes down and out and, all good and stuff like that. I just didn't realize, like, once it gets on you, it's hot. So I'm telling you, my hands burned up. My hair, I went in the shower, my hair was black, and the water was black. Everything was just black. I came in the room. I swear, when I came in the house, I wanted to fight everybody. I wanted to fight everybody. And I mean, it was like, nah, I don't know. I'm getting flustered again just thinking about spending all day with hot oil everywhere.
How about this? Let me build up some questions just to paint the picture. This is Texas. You went in the summer.
Yeah, it was the summer. It
Outside
was
temperature is 105 degrees.
easy.
Josh was outside, short sleeves, which the gentleman who does the oil changes wears pants
Pants
and
and
long
short
sleeve
sleeves.
shirts
Oh,
to
so yeah, he wears
avoid
long sleeves sometimes too. Yep.
to avoid being burned by oil.
Mhm.
So he's under the car, undoes the screw, oil squirts or sprays. So he has hot oil in his hair, in his face, everything, right? And then he goes. Now he just left the military. This is what he's supposed to be doing all day, every day. Joshua loves cars. He done a ton of oil changes,
Yeah.
but never had to do them in 15 minutes or less, 20 minutes, right?
Never.
So comes home and says, "Listen, man. I mean, I'm gonna do it because if you."
Yeah, I was like, I was contemplating a lot of decisions. Like, man, I'm gonna do it.
How about this? How about this? And that's why Josh was so great. What did you do in the military? I want people to understand what you were willing to go back to because this was so
Oh
bad.
yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll go back. I'll go back to the military. I'll go back to the army. I was a scout. You know, I was out. All year from January 1st to December 31st and over again, training all day, every day, couple months at a time, couple weeks at a time. I mean, getting called to go to, Kuwait in a matter of a couple weeks, no time home, you know. I was willing to go back to that just so I don't have to do some
Jumping out
more
of
hot oil
airplanes,
changes.
right? 82nd Airborne.
82nd,
Jumping out of
yep,
airplanes.
82nd Airborne Division, jump
which is
master,
fun.
everything.
First person on the ground.
Yep,
Scout, kicking indoors.
yep.
Live rounds.
Mm-hmm.
How many tours you did? 4, 3, 4?
I did two, one to Afghanistan, one to a quick rapid deployment to Kuwait.
This man was willing to get shot at in the desert over having to do oil changes.
Oil change.
It was that bad.
I was like, I almost called the recruiter. I was like, man, you got some spots open again? I'm still within my window. Like, I was this close.
He could have went back because your last date was in October.
Yeah, exactly. I still could have gotten in there.
I had to talk him out of it. So I ended up losing or investing 10 or 15,000 in that place. I had to just let it go, walk away from it. Because Joshua did not want to go back the second day. So I left 15 grand on the table in surveys and ground surveys, just because you had to test the oil, you had to test the foundation because oil leaks, there's all this stuff. 15 grand I just left go on the table because he came home, he was ready to cry. He was ready to fight. He was upset with the world, but at least I didn't spend 350.
Yeah.
And now you have a flourishing business. You want to give any shout outs?
Yeah, no, just want to, shout out to, first of all, you guys. You guys are the ones that made this all happen. Second of all, I just want to, shout out JC Vet Wash if you guys need anything, any trash hauls. Thank you, Miss Mary. If you guys need anything power wash, we do trash removals. We do odd jobs. Just did a fence the other couple weeks ago, so we do a little bit of everything. And no, yeah, invest. That's all I really want to say is just invest and invest in yourself.
All right. Thank you for your service. Thank you for coming on and sharing that traumatic story.
Worst day of my life, I would say.
Yeah.
One of the worst.
So
thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
You have a good
that
one.
being said, thank you everybody for tuning on. That number's been clicking at almost 20 for the whole show. That means y'all stayed with us. That means you enjoyed what you were doing. Hopefully you come back next week. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Subscribe, like, All these comments you put in, when the show ends, go right back in. Go back in and put a comment. You like the show, tell somebody about it. We're really trying to give out game here, really trying to help people with this show. So I want to say thank you again for everybody for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for Hong. Thank you for Joshua for sharing that story. And with that being said, Howard's Blend, Clarity, Fear, get them all. Get the pre-workout. Put HAHOMES and you get 10% off. Who's better than me? Who's better than you? Oh, one last thing. What's next week, Nova? What we doing next week? Got another versus. Old versus new. Should you buy an old car? Should you buy a new car? Should you buy old real estate? Should you buy new real estate? Should you buy a used watch? Should you buy a new watch? That's going to be next week. Thank you all for tuning in. Peace.